Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Thursday, June 19th. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. If you are heading to the Sierra National Forest this weekend, you may see a number of cyclists whizzing up the highway. The so-called climb to Kaiser is happening Saturday.
It's 155 miles, and there's 16,000 feet of climb.
What's behind this challenging biking event and what keeps riders coming back? Hear about this annual tradition in just a few minutes, but first, these news headlines. President Donald Trump made renewed calls on Wednesday to defund California's high-speed rail. In remarks at the White House, Trump said the federal government will not fund the project and that it's, quote, out of control. The comments come as the Transportation Department has already called for the president to pull $4 billion in funds away from the project. The state was given until next month to respond to a federal audit. The high-speed rail project is behind schedule and has faced numerous delays. Its price tag has also grown by billions. Mass deportations could leave a sizable hole in California's economy. As KVPR's Rachel Livenall reports, that's what a newly published UC Merced study is projecting.
The study was conducted with the Bay Area Council Economic Institute. It projected mass deportations of people without legal status could cost the state $275 billion. Maria Elena Young is an assistant professor of public health who co-authored the study.
Undocumented immigrants are just deeply rooted in all aspects of our economy. So they are workers, they are business owners, they are taxpayers, they're consumers.
Young also found that agricultural contribution of people without legal status is especially vital in the San Joaquin Valley.
We disproportionately are reliant on immigrant labor.
This study is part of ongoing research as tough immigration enforcement efforts unfold. For KVPR News, I'm Rachel Livenall.
The U.S. Senate's Energy and Natural Resources Committee recently proposed the sale of up to about 3 million acres of public lands in California and 10 other western states. The proposal is part of the Senate's budget reconciliation package. Cap Radio's Manola Cicada has more.
The committee's proposal says the sale would address local housing needs. The land would consist of areas currently managed by the U.S. Forest Service and the Bureau of Land Management. Nick Jensen is the Conservation Program Director for the nonprofit California Native Plant Society. He says he's worried about the precedent it would set.
This is just one budget reconciliation package. What's preventing them from doing it again next year? Or in future years, or every year. So 3 million becomes a lot more than 3 million then.
Jensen described selling public lands as a short-sighted solution for housing needs. He says the potential land for sale, as described in the proposal, could potentially include areas near Lake Tahoe and the Sierra Nevada. In Sacramento, I'm Manola Cicada.
California's U.S. Senators Alex Padilla and Adam Schiff have asked the Department of Homeland Security to destroy Medicaid records it's received. That's after federal health officials began sharing records of people enrolled in Medicaid last week. The sensitive data includes people's immigration status. The data sharing effort comes as the Trump administration seeks to accelerate deportations as part of its immigration crackdown. The CEO of a major Tulare County hospital plans to retire next year. Gary Herbst of Kaweah Health announced the decision this week. He's the fourth CEO in the Visalia-based hospital's history. Herbst led the hospital through financial challenges and the COVID-19 pandemic.
For the first time in 50 years, Congress has voted to eliminate funding for America's local public broadcasting stations, including KVPR. If the Senate approves these cuts in a vote in July, KVPR will face a $175,000 shortfall, putting local programs and coverage at risk. Stand up for public radio. Start your monthly gift today at kvpr.org/donate. You can make a difference and stand up for public radio.
And now to our main story. One of the top 10 toughest bicycle rides in America is taking place this weekend in the Sierra Nevada. Each year, bicycle enthusiasts don their helmets and cycling gear and head out to Clovis. There, they then prepare to pedal up to Kaiser Pass, which sits at over 9,000 feet elevation. They do this for a ride called the Climb to Kaiser. The Fresno Cycling Club puts on this event every year, and these riders don't shy away from telling you how hard the climb is. Bicycling Magazine rated it as one of the toughest because it tests your physical and mental toughness. But the ride also comes with scenic views and a beautiful Sierra landscape. So says Dennis Ball. He is the president of the Fresno Cycling Club and has completed the ride multiple times. He says everything is in place to welcome riders for this challenge. To find out why people would put themselves through such a grueling trip, we invited Dennis to the KVPR studios to talk more about the event. He starts us off with a little history.
This is an event, a cycling event, and it originated in 1977 here in Fresno. Some of the cycling club folks said, hey, what would it be like to go up to Kaiser Pass? Let's do it, So they rode up there in the day. Took them most of the day to do it. And then once they got there, they said, oh, okay, well, that was cool, And then the next year they said, we ought to make a ride out of this thing. So then they did. And so in 77, they officially started the Climb to Kaiser.
And is it a race?
It's not technically a race. But anytime you get one or more bicyclists together, or more than one, I should say, it's a race.
And the climb happening this week on Saturday, June 21st, is the 46th annual climb. So you mentioned sort of how it got started. How has it been sustained for so long?
It's pretty incredible. We have some great volunteers with our club. And this year, to put on this event, it takes about 150 to 160 volunteers. And unfortunately, our ridership has gone down over the past few years because, it's like the people that used to do it. I mean, we used to have over 300 people do this ride. And it seems like once they've done it, okay, I'm good. It's like, and we have a few people, one of which, my buddy Gary, he's done this thing. And I think this is going to be his 18th time, something like that, 18th or 19th. We did it the first time in 2001.
Wow.
That was our big challenge. And so he's kept doing it every year. I did it about 5 or 6 times and I was good.
Yeah. Will you do it this year?
No, I'm the director of it. So I kind of have to keep my foot on the ground and make sure stuff gets done.
Gotcha. I read this is considered one of the 10 toughest rides in America by Bicycling Magazine. So what makes it so challenging?
Well, it's 155 miles, and there's 16,000 feet of climb, give or take a few feet, mostly take. And it's got several major climbs in it. And seems like every section's about a 7-mile stretch or 8-mile stretch, whatever. But you've got what we call the Wildcat climb, which is right out of Clovis. That's the first climb they do. It's about a mile, but it's like a 14% climb.
Incline?
Incline,
okay.
Yes. And then they go over some rollers and stuff, and then they get to a place called Old Toll House Road, which is the old highway that used to get you up to Shaver. And it's steep and windy, and it averages about 8% until you get to the top. And then about the last mile, it's like 14 to 16%. Wow. So it's a pretty challenging ride. And then you've got the ride up to Shaver, which is probably one of the most dangerous spots from the top of the 4-lane to Shaver. It's a 6-mile to 7-mile windy 2-lane road. And so we really have to watch ourselves when we do that section of road. But we try to stay to the right as much as possible and give the cars the right of way that they need. But we just want to be happy and get along, It's like we don't want to die and we don't want to cause any problems. We just want to do our ride. People ask us, why do you do that? And it's like, it's like any challenge. It's something that you accomplish and you feel good about it when you're done.
So it's a physical challenge, but also I would think mentally as well, right?
Totally mentally. You totally have to overcome the voice in your head that says, why are you doing this? Are you crazy? What's going on?
Yeah.
And it's really a challenge. That's what makes it even more challenging. You have to silence that little inner voice that's saying, stop, come on. You're killing yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine. It sort of reminds me of the rhetoric I've heard about folks who run marathons or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What are the benefits? We mentioned, that feeling of accomplishment, but for a ride like this, I would think the views, maybe the camaraderie.
Yeah, you got the camaraderie of fellow riders that are doing the same thing, going through the same pain that you are. And then you've got tremendous views. I mean, the valley, once you get to the top of the 4-lane, you can see the whole valley. You get Shaver Lake is beautiful. Get the Huntington Lake, and it's another beautiful lake. And then you get up the top of Kaiser Pass, and you get to see everything.
So I think lastly, Dennis, anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just want people to know that it's a legendary event. We've been putting this thing on for this is the 46th year. We missed 2 years, one from COVID and then one from the 2023, which is the first time it's ever gotten snowed in that we couldn't do the ride.
Crazy.
It's been snowed in. The road was clear. We had to dig out to get to the portable toilets up on the top of Kaiser, but that's the first year it got snowed in and we couldn't do the ride.
Wow. So it's probably nice to be back at it. I mean, you were there last year, but keep the tradition alive.
And it starts from the Clovis Rodeo.
Okay.
And we ride out east on Bullard and we go out Ashland, Watts Valley Road, Burrell Valley, goes up Old Toll House, up through Shaver. And then it goes through Big Creek. And then you go up to Huntington and then you get a little bit of reprieve up there. And then we have a rest stop at Huntington. So we have a rest stop at Shaver, one at Big Creek, and then at Huntington, and then up at the top of Kaiser Pass.
Dennis Ball, president of Fresno Cycling Club, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
And that is today's show. As we observe the Juneteenth holiday today, the Central Valley Daily staff is taking a break from production. That means we will not have an episode for you tomorrow, but we will be right back here on Monday with more stories from the Central Valley. In the meantime, you can catch the latest news from KVPR and NPR on the radio or wherever you listen. Today's episode was produced by Crescencio Rodriguez Delgado, Jonathan Linden, and KVPR, with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. Find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.